Anybody see that video? Turned off for what? What's up, guys? Blackout Bill here. Just enjoying the waves in my head. I fixed the steering. Not really. I just disconnected the helm from the cable because that was broken. Of course, the tube slid right out of the motor. I thought it was that. Here we are. So, some wiring, playing around, imagining that this boat's gonna hit the water one day. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Enough goofing off. Back to work, boy. We came back here and we started looking at the wires, and there's a lot of this. We looked at the switch, the main circuit panel, not as bad as the others. I just took it off so I could look at it. So we're gonna re-put that up. We took out our boat switch and it was super corroded, so we just bought a new one. Nothing's hooked up yet. I just kind of put wires where I think they are. We cleaned up some of the wires, and some wires we bought new, and then some wires we crimped a new connection on. And then I know you big don't do it the right way, guys. Avert your eyes. I used electrical tape on some of the connections. I'm gonna try to use heat shrink. I just only have certain sizes. In any case, this wire I crimped. I did buy a crimper. I'll show you guys my new crimper. Bought some electrical stuff so we can do this sort of right. Oh, the main thing was I replaced the negative bus bar in the back here. Alright, so that's all fancy new. That's what the old one looked like. There you go. So, all corrosion everywhere. In the front, the two positive bus bars, or one's negative, one's positive, I don't even know. They look just as bad, so I bought new ones. We're going to replace that. Take you along for that journey. And then on this side, this is a new connector here, because this was all corroded off, and you can see I used the connector and electrical tape again. And then this connector was completely shot. All or half the wires were very heavily corroded and bad, and some of them even broke right off. So instead of trying to find this clip, how bad that is, I just cut the wires and we're gonna butt connector them all together. The problem isn't that the wiring's so corroded, is why. I mean, we have a lot of this. The motor's seized up. And then we have a lot of that same corrosion underneath the helm here. Look at how corroded that is up there. What happened was this is all locked up here. You know, it's rusted, but this spins. This piece does not. And there's grease in there, but it's just locked up. So we have to find out how to replace this connected right to the steering cable. If I have to replace this whole cable, I will, but I want to see if there's a way to take this apart and fix that gear in there. Once we clean up the back, put the batteries in, then we can change out the bus bars. And then the switches are the same. They're all corroded and messed up. So I'm hoping that the whole boat wasn't swamped. I don't think it was, but the way that the corrosion is up in the wires up high here makes me think that, or I mean, if sandy waves were crashing over the top, maybe that's what it was. So a lot of salt water hitting in this general area, and then it drying over the time and just corroding the crap out of all of the wires. They're still in decent shape. We're gonna do the easy connections first. Negative bus bar, battery switch, 2 new batteries, and then that connector in the back. Once that connector, all those wires are reconnected, that should give us power to at least the live wells or up here. And it might not give us power at first because those positive bus bars are still corroded. So we'll put everything together there, we'll start changing out, and these switches are all just as bad. So we may have to replace all the switches. But once we start getting power to something, whether it be the horn, we'll know that that job was done right, and then we can continue with the project. Or if that don't help and I get no power up front, we'll just end up scrapping the whole thing and we'll reevaluate. More electrical crap. And I am not good at this. I look at electronics like I look at painting. It's kind of an art form. We put in the battery switch. We got breaker power to the output, and then there's a secondary wire here. It's white with red. I have no idea what it's for. I'm assuming it's for a main power source to either the positive bus up front or what. So we have the breaker wire to the output to the circuit breaker, and then the circuit breaker out wire is red power, and it goes all the way to the front of the boat at the helm. Okay, and then the other 2 points of contact is battery 1, which is just a main positive cable. And you can see it's got the 1 on the switch, and this wire goes directly to the other battery on the other side. And then we got battery 2 on the back. It says battery 2, but on the switch it's 1 and 2. If that makes any sense. It's got 1, 2 and both on the switch, where 2 being the feeder, and then battery 2 hooks up to both. I wired it based off the back, not the front. And this says feeder or output. That's got the circuit breaker, and then this secondary red-white wire. And then on the 1, it says 1 on the back, battery 1, is battery 1 cable, and then the secondary, this is red with tan, that also goes up to the front. And then we got battery 2 hooked up to 1 and 2, and then that'll go to my positive post on my battery when I get it. The switch is hooked up. Now what we got to do is we got to find some long screws, because it didn't come with it. We're going to hook it right there, so we can select everything. And we're going to power it up and see what we got. And then the negatives, you got both battery cable negatives. This cable on the negative side, this cable hooks right up to the negative bus bar. This whole setup's going to go to the ground of this battery, and then this cable, this negative cable, goes to the other battery. It's wired in all the way to the other side. You can see it's the original. It's got the most corrosion there. So if we're not getting a good ground, that'll be the reason why we'll have to replace that cable. And that's the main wiring for the back of this boat. The only thing we're going to have to do is then reconnect all of these. I've already started with 2. I just started to realize I'm not the best solderer, so we're going to buy some solder butt connectors, and we'll hook those wires back. Once that's done, once the batteries are in, we should then have juice coming up here. But it's clean, it's white, I mean, with the exception of my shoe prints and everything. Future plans. Motor's still seized. I'm trying to offload it to somebody who can. There's plenty of great parts there. I mean, the carburetors alone are probably worth $200 a piece. The lower unit I know is $400, but get a machine in here, get rid of it, see if we can find something on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and then what we need to do is suck the fuel out of the fuel tank, whatever's left in there, whatever crap is left in there. I bought a pump, and I'll show you that. And then the main thing is getting power. I want power to the live wells, because the live wells are full of water, and I can't get rid of it. I mean, I could keep sumping it out, but every time it rains, it fills back up. So I don't want no more trees growing back here. Once we establish that we can get power going, we'll start looking for a new motor. We're going to try to find something 150-ish, but price range is limited. It was a free boat. Don't really have a lot of money. So try to find a 150 motor. 125 is fine. It's a 25-inch shaft. Once we can confirm we can get power, because we also don't have controls, so then we got to see if we can find a motor with controls. And if we do, then we got to make sure we can power those controls. Otherwise, we're dead in the water. Ha! No pun intended. Took a stab at soldering. I'm not particularly good at it, but these wires are oxidized even below the sheet here. So I'm finding the hard way that you really got to clean the wire up first, because the solder won't stick to the oxidation part of it. But alright, so here's like one of my rough soldered joints, and it's got air gaps in it, and they call this like a cold solder, like it's not right. But my main problem right now is I don't know what wire goes to what. I got letters and numbers that don't connect to nothing, and then the old plastic connector, it shows that like of the 8 connectors, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were connected. You know, like there's 5 on this side and there's like 10 on this side. So obviously, if you had more options, you could add it, or the different models had different options with it, and the wires actually went somewhere. My problem is I don't know. There's some of them are numbered, some of them aren't. So I just have to figure out. Like this is a B. This is a black B wire, obviously a ground. Then I got a 1 and 2. Now this wire is thicker and doesn't go to anything. 2, I can't find. I got an A here. I got a black A and nothing. And then I already soldered a ground, like this one here. So this is a 5 with no number on this side. So this 5 either goes, well, technically it doesn't go to anything because I don't have another ground. Then I got this. This has no lettering or numbering on it. I got an A and a B on a black, and then I got a 5 and a non-labeled black. So I have to figure, I looked at the wiring diagrams, none of them really make sense. I have to figure out exactly how to finish this. So I think we're getting close to actually putting power to this boat to see, maybe we can hook the connectors up one by one and figure out what goes where. But what we are currently working on is the front of the boat. So the helm is just down and out of the way. I did find out again that this steering cable is shot because this piece is seized in here. I don't know if there's a fix for that. This is welded together. A brand new steering cable is about 150 bucks. So we're gonna see what our options are there. So this is just kind of out of the way for now. Now this can be like daunting and scary because there's a lot of wires down here, but we're not rewiring the boat. We're just replacing what's corroded, and we're just swapping in and out. So here's our old bus bar. This one's the negative, the positive's next. And I'm just going wire by wire. I took this wire off, and I connected it to the new bus bar. I also cut it and made a new connection. Then I got these two little wires. I'm not sure what they belong to. I think it's either a GPS or a navigation or the stereo. And I only connected them just so I remember where they went. So then I disconnected this black wire, put a new connector, spliced it brand new, made it nice and shiny, connected there. So now I'm going to take this black wire off and do the same, and this black wire and this, and I'm just replacing them, getting all this old corroded, these old connectors off. So I'm not rewiring the boat, which would be a monstrous waste of time and energy and money. And I'm just swapping out the wires for the wires. And then once this negative bus bar is done, I'll work on the positive bus bar, and we'll see what switches work, what don't. Now, after the wires are reconnected, I'll have to hit the switches. Now these switches don't look so bad. These are completely corroded and shot. They're even breaking off. So this side's gonna need a whole new set of switches. And then all of these wires that go to the bottom, these are just indicator lights. And they're pretty monstrous lights, but they're all shot. They're all rusted and corroded. So we're gonna do the bare minimum to get power to things that work. And then if we want, I mean, obviously when you turn something on, you wanna see that it's on and the light indicator is on. We can replace those one by one, slowly but surely. We're gonna go to bare minimum just to get this sucker powered up so we can then maybe possibly shop for a motor, because I can't unseize this other motor. I've been working on it for about a week now. So let's start continuing with this negative bus bar, taking these wires off. All right, wire by wire here. Snip, count and make sure I'm right. I only got two left from the top and the bottom. And I'm coming over here. No idea what any of these wires do yet. But they're connected, so we're going to connect them. I've been cutting a little off just to try to get some new copper in there, but it doesn't matter. I've cut them back so far deep, some of them. It's just black and corroded, which scares me a little because that could mean that I may have to rewire the boat if we've lost connectivity or whatever electrical word is there. I'm trying to clean them up with the wire brush here. Some people use like a metal Brillo sponge or a just metal mesh wires and everything. All of them are good. You could also throw some dielectric grease on there. That will help the connection. It'll also protect the connection. I've been using this QD contact cleaner. It's working. It's not 100%. You can see some of the strands still have that blackness on there. But clean them up as best we can. Putting our new connector on. And then taking our vice grips, crimping it tight. To the new bus bar, unscrew my terminal. I'm unscrewing it last so I don't lose the brand new little screws. I'm surprised I haven't dropped any yet. Super surprised. Connector onto the wire. And this one was facing up. I'm even trying to route the wires the same way it was originally, just so that I don't run into any installation issues, which I'm sure I will. Again, I just want the live wells to work. If I can get the pumps on the live wells to work, we'll be in good shape. And tighten it down. Oop, too tight. Try not to strip anything. Got one big negative wire left, and then just the main, what seems to be a main ground, or one of them. All right. It strips the wire. Contact cleaner. Alright. Vice grip. And use a vice grip when you're crimping these. I don't even like to use the crimpers, not crimpers, but like the wire strippers that come with the crimping. I don't like to use because they just don't. They don't like vice grip tight. Vice grips do. Got it. Beautiful. So our negative bus bar is connected. What we have to do now is mount it. Alright, and for the bigger power wire, it was easier to clean up. Picked up this kit on Amazon. It's called Zip CCI. Again, I'll link it. And I bought crimpers for this guy. Crimped. I know it's not coming off now. Problem is those strands of wire kind of there. So we're gonna hit it with the old electrical tape. Not ideal, but I kind of don't care. It's gonna work. And this will actually go on our main terminal here. I sure hope the size is gonna fit. I think it will. I didn't even think of that. Beautiful. It's actually too big. Could have went smaller. Beautiful. Right now, as is, we are wired for sound, with the exception of one wire. I don't know. I got the wrong piece off Amazon, so I figure let's get the battery, and just see if anything works. Let's see what we got. Well, we passed our first test with the battery switch in the off position. We didn't spark. Here goes test 2, live and in charge. Oh God, charge. No pun intended. Battery 1. I don't even know what battery this one should be, but let's see what happens. Alright, we're wired. Nothing's happening. That's good and bad. Let's just see what happens when we go to both. Alright. Nothing yet. Okay, what has been almost a series of disappointments, there was a light. Quite literally. I'm not getting any power to my switches. I'm worried that there's just too much corrosion. So what we did was we got the switch hooked up to the battery on the other side, and we got the ground here, and we got a wire just to wire my test light. If we're thinking out loud here, battery's grounded, connected to the switch. The switch is powered to the circuit breaker. Power is going to the circuit breaker. There's a power lead from the circuit breaker that should work its way all the way to the front here, to my positive bus bar. So if this light goes on when I touch it to that positive terminal, that means I have power running from the circuit breaker to the bus bar. So there we go. So we got power. We're hot. We're hot right here. We're hot here, we're hot here. I even dug the test light into the wire. So my connections are good. The wire is good. So now, what that means is, that simply means that my switches are simply bad, or the wiring from the bus bar to the helm here is no good, because the key isn't having any effect, the switches are not having any effect no matter what I do. Like, you'd think maybe like the horn would go, if the horn's even in there, probably not. Or any of these, like I said, like I just wanted to power the live well. I don't even know what's on, what's off. The key is on, and I'm not showing any gauges working, but looking at the corrosion in all of the gauges, they wouldn't work because they're no good. Now I am wondering, see, there's no power to any of these. I'm not hot running to any of these leads here. That means that I got no power coming to these wires here. These wires are all running, and then the power leads that are all coming from this positive bus bar are going to these stupid lights, and obviously I'm not getting any power to those because these lights are totally corroded and shot, and these wires are no good. My question is, does it relay from the light to the switch, or are they powered directly? If they're powered directly, why are none of these switches working? You figured I'd get a little bit of juice to something. Unless I'm missing, there could be some sort of bridge between this and the switch, and that I gotta figure out. The negative bus bar is hooked up, so we should be grounded. Shouldn't have any problem with any grounds. but I'm not getting any power to anything. So what I need to do now, so gross. What I need to do now is get a brand new switch. I'll get some wires to the live well. I'll hook up a switch that's not corroded and messed up. And we'll see if we can get power to it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we are confirmed hot to the bus like we were talking about. And the reason I got no power to any switches or nothing else is because there's 3 main power leads here. And it runs to these lights first. So here's that relay I was wondering about. And well, I'll show you the 2. Each power line goes to each row of lights. Here's one power lead, you can see corroded as hell. The other one's under the sheath, and there's the 3rd one. So there's where our break in the connection is. Not only that, I mean, obviously the switches are all shot. I'm sorry, well, the lights or these relays are all shot. And then off each row is each colored wire that then corresponds to the switch to turn everything on and off. So we're not getting power to the relays. The relays are definitely not sending power back to the switch, and that's where our break is. So good news is we got hot to the bus bar. Everything should be grounded. If we got power to the thing, then we should be grounded everywhere else. Our next goal is to either figure out if we're going to change each light out. Definitely got to clean this connection up here, or one main positive bar, and then we'll run each wire off that. That would essentially make the lights not use. So I won't know if anything's running unless I remember, which could be problematic. Or we'll take a look online, see if we can find a new helm switch panel. If the switches are in good shape, then we can just rewire it to a new helm. All right, boys and girls, moment of truth. We got our battery switch on. We have power to the positive bus. Ran a wire from the positive bus. This wire will go to my new switch. The switch will then run a wire to the feed that goes to any device I have. So let's hook it up and see if the live well's working, because that is the live well wire, the tan with the white. Here we go. Oh, what was that? No way. No way. Hey. That's power. We got power. We got power to the freaking pod. Let's go. We got power to the thing. Now, if I did my wiring diagram correctly, this should be the starboard one. Oh! Oh! Hey! Hey-oh! Look at that! The freaking fish well pumps are working. That's a win. So we have power to the front. So now we can get some switches, wire them up, clean everything up, put it together, and I believe we're going to look for a motor next. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I know this video was kind of a little, but next video we'll take this motor off and we're going to go shopping. So in the meantime, subscribe, like, we'll see you in the next video.